What's up guys, and welcome to another video on the channel. Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different and dive into our custom tactics a little bit, just to show you guys what we've been working on. It's been working really well for us since the start of the game. Literally whenever I turn a copy of FIFA or EAFC on for the first time, I think like a lot of us, I'll just use the 4-3-3 formation, because that's the default one, just as I'm getting players into the team and just playing a few squad battles and getting used to the game a little bit. And I think this year I was really surprised at how good the sort of the team felt in a 4-3-3 formation. I think it was through that I started to realise how the wing play was going to be so critical. Last year you tended to play down the middle a little bit more, whereas this year you can really make good opportunities off the wings a little bit. And especially if you've got players with the finesse shot trait, you can also cut inside really effectively and top bins a lot of easy goals. So I think the 4-3-3 has been something I started this game with, and I haven't really found a formation yet that's taken me off of it. Before I jump into the actual formation, I just sort of talk to you a little bit about the team that I'm working with, because the types of players are quite important here. I think with a striker, just getting someone that's fast with good finishing and feels good on the ball is going to be key. I've tried out this Alvarez card, and he's amazing. You know, his play styles feel really good. 4-star, good shooting, good dribbling. He's just a really good all-round card. I think on the wings, I like to mix it up a little bit. So I've got Julie on the right, who I got out of the hero pack, and I think with a player like him, what I love to do is cut inside, and, you know, utilise his finesse shot, utilise his crossing, utilise his R1 dribbling. He just feels brilliant on the ball, and I think he's a really great cut inside kind of player. With Leao, I think he's very physical. You could actually play him in the striker position if you wanted to, but I like just having him bomb down the wing, cutting inside, like Julie, but less frequently. But again, using that physicality, using that sprint speed, stretching the pitch, and giving me an option down the wing if I need it. With the centre mids, I think with a lot of formations, there's a common theme here, which is you tend to have two more defensive-minded players and then one more creative one, sometimes even an attacker in this position. That is David Beckham the most meta best card for this particular formation? Probably not, but I absolutely love Beckham. He was my idol when I was growing up, so just having him in the team is great, and the SBC was one that I thought was reasonably priced, to be honest with you, and he does offer a lot. He's got fantastic play styles, his passing is unreal, his free kicks are almost guaranteed goals, and his corners really offer you something as well. So again, I want to enjoy the game as well, so putting a player like him in is always good. And then, yeah, from a defence perspective, look, meta as possible in the centre backs. I don't like to say it, but unfortunately that is the way you win games here, is that you need to have high physicality, high defensive, high sprint speed players in defence, and I think Blanc and Van Dijk very much fit that bill. Ideally you'd have a left-footed player on your left centre back position, but Blanc really is doing well for me in that position, so I'm happy with him, and Van Dijk is probably the best defender on the game. And again, on the wings, high physicality, high sprint speed kind of players. Kyle Walker, Hernandez, they're probably the two best fullbacks in my opinion, best goal fullbacks on the game. I have tried out the Klaus card actually, who I really like. I'm surprised he only goes to 20k, and with a couple of upgrades, I think he's going to be really good. So I've kept him there, but we packed Walker out of this week's Division Rivals Awards. We haven't tried him out yet, but I've heard great things about him, so I'm sure he's going to stay in the team. And then really, goalkeeper, I can't really say too much about them. It seems to be a bit of luck of the draw, depending on who you've got, how you played them, the chem style you put on, and just frankly your team. I've heard awful things about Edison. For me, he's been really good. My Nan is still my favourite goalkeeper, but I have this thing about having everyone on full chemistry, and I couldn't get full chemistry without putting Edison in goal. And to be honest with you, the difference has been very minor. I have tried other goalkeepers like Dudek. They were awful for me, whereas Edison and Mainan tend to be the two that I would go for at this stage of the game. So look, that's the team. That's what we're working with. Let's jump into the tactics. So I'm going to show you my attacking tactics for this one, because that's the one that I start the game in. So again, quickly, if we look at the formation, that is the 4-3-3-4 variant. So this is the one with the two wings and then the cam. In terms of how we play, Julian Alvarez down the middle, left hand side and right hand side of our fast wingers, as we say, and I play David Beckham in that cam position. The rest of the formation is relatively self-explanatory. In terms of the tactics, now it's going to look quite similar to a lot of different tactics, but let me go through it anyway. I think from a defensive style perspective, I've tried all of them, balance to me at the moment feels like the most sustainable and predictable defensive style in the game. So pressure on heavy touch, I just find is a bit too aggressive at this point, and you often get caught out, and your players are out of position too often, and they just tend to get in behind. So keeping it on balance is going to be key for me at the moment. Similar to a lot of other YouTubers as well, I think having a lower defensive width is quite important, because it means that your left back and your right back, they really squeeze up against your centre backs, and it just stops that stupid through ball that can be played to go in, get them in behind and score an easy goal. Having said that, what I have found is the narrower the formation, the more open you are on the wings, and at the moment, R1 dribbling and just basically getting an agile player out on the wing to cut inside is a really easy way to score goals, and I have found that I am more susceptible to that when I've got to focus my left back and my right back in getting out to sort of defend those positions. So there's peaks and troughs of this, but I have found that a 45 width has been so far the best for this formation. From a depth perspective, now there's two ways that you can do this. I am absolutely awful at defending on this game. I think it's really, really, really tricky. I'm getting better, but I'm finding that I'm letting easy goals in, they're easily getting in behind, and it's just really, really difficult to get a hang of defending at the moment, to get a handle on it. So for me, 55 depth is perfect. It means that you're not too aggressive, but at the same time you're not too sort of in a drop back position of finding it hard to be creative. There is another option here, which I think Orzio was the one to first make a video about it, which is if you move this to 71, what actually happens here is that it causes an automatic offside trap, which is really interesting, and it often catches out some players that are almost rushing to score a goal against you. You often find that there's button bashing, passing about, going for the through balls, going for the fast passes in behind. It's really easy to get caught out on an offside position when they're doing that here. But I think the biggest thing, and this comes down to EA's kind of animations and attacking AI and defensive AI that they've created for this game, the AI is just so much better for some reason when you go on 71 depth. I think what you find is that your players just tend to be a lot smarter, they move into positions a lot more intuitively, and it gives your opponent a lot less time on the ball. And if they're trying to tick-a-tacker around your box and try to find a route in to cut inside, having it on 71 depth often means that your players are just naturally moving into positions to intercept, and if you've got players with high interception stats, I think you really notice the difference when you've got that 71 depth on. So look, it's one of those ones where if you're good and proficient at defending, I'd whack this up to 71 because you're going to really benefit from it. Whereas if you're more like me and you need a bit more stability at the back and you're still letting in some easy goals, keep it on 55 for now and just work your way up to that 71 as you feel comfortable. In terms of build-up play, this is an interesting one. So I have always stuck with balance and direct passing. I find that the AI here from an attacking perspective and a getting forward perspective is just the best combination. It's been like that for the last couple of years on FIFA. What I will say though is that fast build-up play really works with this formation. There's just something about the ability to pass really quickly through the middle of the pitch or out to your wingers that having it on fast build-up play really, really allows. So if you're quite good at passing, or you've got players like I have actually that have got really good passing stats in the game, then fast build-up play is actually a really good thing to try out. Maybe more when you're trying to be a little bit more attacking. So if you wanted an attacking variation of this, I'd probably whack your depth up to 71, put this on to fast build-up play, and you've actually got a really good combination there. However, for now, the balance and direct passing I think is key. From width, I haven't touched it. I've experimented going up and down a little bit with it. I find that just the width, keep it on 50, works really well. And when we get into the instructions a little bit, you'll just sort of see how I like to use the wingers. This just doesn't sort of interfere with that. It lets them play as I want them to play. Players in the box, I keep it on 6. I find that with some formations you need to make sure that your cam and your centre mids are getting forward. With this game, I like to have my 2 centre mids staying back really and helping out with the defence. So having 6 I find is a good number, the perfect number really in terms of players into the box, and it gives you that perfect opportunity to score. From a corners and free kicks perspective, now if I didn't have David Beckham, I would have had this on 1-on-1. I find that it's really, really easy to give away goals here from the counter attack, so I find that putting it on 1 for corners and 1 for free kicks just minimises that. David Beckham is so good at corners. The amount of corners I score by having 2 6'4", 6'5" centre backs is brilliant. So I whack this up to 3. The amount of goals that I score as a result of this outweighs the amount of goals that I concede. So that's why I've got it on free. Like I say though, if I didn't have such a good playmaker, such a good free kick taker and corner taker, I wouldn't have this there. But that's for me how I like to play it. Now, if we jump into the instructions, this is where it's a bit different from some of the other formations or instruction videos that you might have seen for this formation. So for Julian Alvarez, keep it really simple. So stay forward and get him behind. I don't mess around with his width or his interceptions. I find if you keep him on stay central, he doesn't make some of the more intuitive runs that you just like him to make. He just stays very central. He doesn't sort of make himself available for a fast pass or something like that. So having him on balanced width, I think, is really key. Now the wingers, this is where it's a little bit different. So traditionally, you'll always see come back on defence and get into the box, and that's something that for the last couple of years we've seen has been really meta for our wing play. Now I've kept that here, but what I've tried to do here is almost mimic like the Liverpool play from a couple of years ago, where you'd often have your wingers that would cut inside as well, get into the box and almost act like centre forward strikers when your sort of central striker is making runs off to the wing. You've often then got another option cutting inside from the wing as well in the form of your two wingers here. So having them on cut inside and getting behind alongside those two really helps that kind of way and mentality of playing. With Julie more specifically, what this also does is it allows you to R1 dribble. You know, you're cutting inside, you're confusing their defence, you're making real agile movements into the box, but also when you're just outside the box as well, having that sort of cut inside instruction line just gets him into a great position to whip a finesse shot into the top corner as well. So I just find that tactic really has made a difference to me. Now for David Beckham, it's an interesting one. So before, all I had him on was get into the box. You know, I didn't need extra support in defence because you had your wingers getting back, and we'll get to the CDMs in a minute. So I didn't need him coming back. So I just had him in get into the box for crosses. So he almost acted like that secondary striker behind Alvarez. It was working really well. By accident, I flicked on free roam, and I don't know if it's a combination of having my wingers cutting inside, but what I often found now is that when my wingers are cutting inside and they're leaving a bit of space open on one of the wings, David drifting into those positions and just providing an extra option for the pass, but then also protecting against the counter attack really effectively. So I can't say that there's a lot of science to this, it's just what I'm experiencing in the game at the moment, that having him on get into the box is great. Putting him in free roam makes him a game changer for me because he really helps defensively, even though he's not got any defensive tactic changes here, and he also helps provide a bit of extra support from a passing perspective, so that if Liao needs someone there, needs another option, or same for Julie, he's often there and they can whip a nice cross into the box with that whipped cross play style that he's got. So really works for me. In terms of my more defensive minded CMs, I tried to keep this one quite simple. So for Declan Rice, my more defensive physical player, stay back while attacking and cover centre. And then for the player that's a little bit more agile, feels a little bit better on the ball, I keep him on balanced attack and cover centre. Now it just means that you've got someone getting forward, helping out sort of on the offence, but also when you are being pressed and when you need to be defensive, he's got those kind of stats to help out there. Now, what I will say though is similar to the tactics, if you struggle defensively, there is absolutely nothing wrong with putting both of these players on stay back while attacking. It doesn't massively hamper you from a going forward perspective. You've got your wingers, you've got your cam, they're all helping out and they're really adding an element of creativity to the game. But when you add in one of your CMs like that, you just have someone to sort of get rid of that space in between your cam and your centre mid. If Bex is getting forward and you don't have Bruno moving up the field a little bit, there is quite a big gap then between your attacking players and Declan Rice. So having Guimaraes there, he doesn't go crazy and gung-ho and just sprint into the box, but he just provides a little bit of support in the midfield and gets forward a little bit just to add a little bit of flair to your attacks. So that's how I currently set them up. But like I say, if you struggle defensively, put these on stay back one attacking while you acclimatise to the formation, and then just see what happens when you play around a little bit. For the wingers, we have two separate instructions here. So for Kyle Walker, someone that I've always traditionally liked playing with and getting forward a little bit, and we have him on balanced attack and overlap. Now what I would say is, whichever of your wingers you like to cut inside with more and really sort of get into the box with more and dribble in with, I would say on that side, that's the one that you want to have your your right or your left back bombing down the wing a little bit, because when they're cutting inside, they're leaving the wings open a little bit. You know, you're seeing it all the time now. You're losing the ball in the box. Your opponent just crossing the ball out to the wings and just bombing it down and then cutting inside. Having Kyle Walker there, what it does do is it gets him in position to defend a little bit higher up the pitch and stop some of those crosses and some of those counter-attacks. But then also he adds another option in the midfield as you are getting forward. Having that fast physical player is just a really nice kind of option to have, to get down the wing and then pass it in behind to get into one of your wingers who are cutting inside to try to get that finesse shot or R1 dribble into the box and get a good position. So that's how I like to play with Walker. On the other side, with the player that on the wing, I like to keep sort of doing more sort of vertical up and down runs with less of the cut-in, such as my layout here. For that, I like to keep my fullback on stay back while attacking an overlap, just because you don't necessarily have that space to fill, and instead you can sort of lay the ball off to your winger who tends to be taking it down the field to try to find a cross or try to find a decisive pass. So that's how I use my two fullbacks in this situation. For my defenders, keep them on default, and again for my goalkeeper, keep it on default. I've tried a couple of different things here. Your defensive AI in this game is a bit weird. It's a little bit sus. I think that's why it's really hard to defend. I have tried putting interceptions onto conservative, just to see if that makes them do less weird things and set up easy goals for your opponents. Look, it didn't make a major difference, I'll be honest with you. If anything, I saw it being a little bit value destructive, because there are some times where when you've got good defenders like Van Dijk and Blanc, the animations save you. You know, they just stick a foot out or they get into a position or they body your opponent and it saves you from letting in a goal. When you put on conservative interceptions, you very much take that element away from the AI. So really and truly, I just don't think this is the way to fix the defensive issues that you might be having on this game at the moment. So I've just kept them on. I've kept them on balanced. And then for Ederson and goal, again, the goalkeepers seem to be doing some weird stuff at the moment. They're diving in a strange way. They're running out and rushing out and leaving the goal open. So I've just tried to be as conservative as possible here, just to keep this on balance, to try to stop letting in so many easy goals. So that's the idea behind that. So look, yeah, guys, that's the instructions for the 4-3-3-4. Really hope you find this video interesting and a little bit different, because like I say, I haven't seen a lot of people use this formation with this set of instructions. So I'd love to get any feedback, see what you guys think when you play it, and if there's any tweaks that you think you guys should make. So yeah, by all means leave some comments, and we'll see how this formation progresses as the meta changes and the power curve starts to steepen. So yeah, guys. Well, look, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope your week goes well and you get some good trailblazers into your team. And yeah, guys, I'll talk to you guys soon.